Hey, Disney Cruisers, and welcome back to the DCL community where we are here to help you plan, prepare for, and get excited for your Disney cruises. You guys know me. I'm Rebecca, your host and admin of the DCL community. And today we are so excited to be diving into, I think, one of the bigger questions when looking at a Disney cruise overall is it actually worth the cost? So I am really excited to dive into this topic. We're going to be doing some really fun comparisons. But as people are coming in, please say hello. Let us know where you guys are watching from and if you have a cruise booked. And then as people are coming in, Megan, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure.
Yes.
My name's Megan. I am a travel agent with Hyatt Magical Vacations. And I have 3 kids, currently ages 12, 9, and 5. We've been cruising since my oldest was 2. That's when we took our first Disney cruise, and we've been totally addicted, hooked ever since then. We've been on all the Disney ships. I've been to most of the ports and also been to a lot of the cities in Europe. So I have a lot of experience with the European ports as well. So we just love cruising. Like I said, we're addicts. Once you have one, I don't think you can ever go back. So
I was gonna say, and especially being a parent, then your kids start asking for these vacations too,
yes,
and you're like, oh man,
yep.
I've just instilled a very expensive addiction to my children. But
Yeah, my youngest was like, when are we going to go see Elsa again? I'm like, I don't know. We'll have to see.
I was gonna say, yeah, the chores money doesn't exactly pay for the cruises.
Right, right.
But if you guys have any questions, if you are wanting to book your next Disney cruise, please reach out to Megan. That is her contact information screen. I'll go ahead and get this in the comments for everybody as well. But her planning services are 100% free for you to use. So let her be that resource. As we're going through, we're going to do some really great comparisons today to kind of decide, is Disney going to be worth it for you, your family, your friends who you're traveling with? But if you have some more specific questions, reach out to Megan. You guys can hop on a quick call and decide what's going to be perfect for your family because no two families are the same. But let's go ahead. Let's jump into our Disney cruises worth it.
Okay. So I wanted to kind of start just by one of the other common questions we get is what is included on the Disney cruise? Like, what am I getting for my money? So the answer is you could really go on a Disney cruise and pay your cruise fare and honestly not spend another penny if you don't want to. So that's a really nice aspect of Disney cruising. So I've got this whole list here. I'm not going to read everything on this list. If anybody's watching wants to take a screenshot, you're more than welcome. Or I have this as another document that I'm happy to send anyone that wants it. But this is just a general overview. Kind of some of the things I will point out that's a little bit different about Disney that are included that might not be on other cruise lines. Room service, complimentary 24/7, that's included in your cruise fare. Soft drinks, soda, that is also included. A lot of other cruise lines that is not. I know that's not a huge expense, but it can add up if you have a family of 4 or 5 and you all get a soda package on another cruise line. And then of course things like character experiences, the Disney entertainment, you're not going to get that on another cruise line. So those are just a few things I wanted to point out on this specific slide.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and the unlimited ice cream, it is included.
Oh yes,
and
for
it
sure.
it is just, I mean, big selling point for me.
Right,
Unlimited room
right.
service and unlimited ice cream, just sign me up.
So first I was going to do kind of a comparison between Disney Cruise Line and Walt Disney World, because I think that's probably one of the most common questions we have is, should I go on a cruise or should I go to Walt Disney World? I didn't put a specific price comparison on this one because generally it's going to be about the same, especially once you add a dining plan to Disney World, which obviously the cruise, the food is included. So when I'm comparing them, I always talk about adding a dining plan to Disney World. Once you do that, the costs are going to be very, very similar. And usually the cheaper times to cruise are also going to be the cheaper times to go to Walt Disney World. So those kind of are apples to apples as well. A couple things to consider when you're thinking about if you want to go to Disney World versus do a cruise. The weather. So Florida is hot. Obviously a cruise is hot too, but I just feel like when you're out on the ship, you have a nice breeze most of the time. And you can also go into the air conditioning very easily if you want to. So, for example, the last time we went to Disney World was in February. not this February, but a February. And, I thought that would be pretty good weather. It ended up being about 90 degrees in February. So it was very hot. You're outside all day. So that's one aspect to consider. Another is crowds and lines. That's just part of being at Disney World. It's going to be crowded and there's going to be lines for sure. I would say generally your average wait time for a ride is probably going to be about 20, 30 minutes at least. The more popular rides are definitely going to be longer than that. Character interaction. You can go do character meet and greets at Disney World. However, it is definitely easier to meet those characters on the cruise line. They have shorter wait times on the cruise line. You have just random character greetings that you'll just run into characters on the cruise line, which doesn't happen at Walt Disney World. So we definitely preferred cruising for that aspect. And then the entertainment. Disney World definitely has wonderful entertainment, but you're not necessarily going to get all the activities like Disney trivia, bingo, the evening stage shows. There's just a lot on the cruise line that you're not going to have at the parks. So those are kind of like a quick comparison of doing the parks versus doing Disney World for this one.
Is that the same, you would say, no matter what park you go to with Disney?
As far as Disneyland versus Disney World?
Yes.
Pretty much. Disneyland does have the roaming characters out in Fantasyland. So you do get a little bit more like spontaneous meet and greets that way at Disneyland, but the lines are going to be about the same. The crowds are going to be about the same. Weather. It's not as humid in California, but it still can get very hot. So, yeah.
Yes, that is very true. I was going to say, Mother Nature, you can never predict what she's going to be up to. So,
sure.
Definitely some good things to consider. They can move the cruise ship around a storm. They can't move the theme parks.
Right. So here's another slide I have about Walt Disney World versus the cruising. I think cruises tend to be a little bit better for especially the younger age group. If you're on the cruise ship and your toddler needs a nap, you just pop right back to your room. It's super easy. If you're in the parks, you've got to walk all the way to the front of the park, get transportation back to your hotel, get back to your room. I mean, it's a huge production if you have a tired toddler that needs a nap. And just the amount of walking and activity that you're doing at the parks it's intense for sure. The parks, I put heavy layer of additional planning. This is talking about Genie Plus. So if you've never been to the parks, Genie Plus, it can be confusing for sure. I provide training to everybody that I send to the parks, but still the first time you're there is like, it can be very, very overwhelming. And the cruise, you just don't have that. You have your app on the cruise that shows you all the activities and you just go and you show up and do the activity. So it's a lot more relaxing, I think, to do the cruise versus the Disney World, because Disney is just a lot more planning. Like I said, it's a lot more intense. So for the little ones, I think the cruise can definitely be a better option than Disney World a lot of times. And then also tweens and teens. I have a 12-year-old, like I said, she's my oldest. I would never probably let her go off on her own at Disney World, but I definitely do on the ship. And she can go to kids club by herself on the ship. She can meet friends. And I know, like you've said, you've had some of your best experiences ever meeting new friends in the kids club. That's just things like that just aren't really going to happen in the parks. And then sleeping in. If you go to the parks, you usually are up by 6:30 or 7 every morning to book your Genie Plus. And then you're up at the parks, by 8 a.m. On the cruise, it's just a little bit more relaxed. If you don't want to get up, you don't have to. You don't have to for the parks either, but most of the time you want to have the best experience at the parks. So yeah, it's just definitely a lot more relaxing, laid back Disney experience on the cruise versus at the parks.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know nothing about Genie Plus, but I'm already intimidated just like looking at that screen. So I would definitely need that training. And that's awesome that you provide it to all of the guests that you work with. But I'm wondering if they're like, what if I want to go to Disney World, but I want some relaxation? Or if I do, maybe I want to go on a Disney cruise, but I don't want to just relax the whole time. Like, is there a way to relax at Walt Disney World, and is there a way to adventure on a Disney cruise?
There is. For Disney World, I usually recommend, and I recommend this for everybody anyway, but to have like a rest day or a resort day where you just hang out at your resort, go swimming. Um, if you book a package at Disney World, they give you free rounds of mini golf that you can go do it. They have 2 different courses you can go to. So that there is a way to relax. I would just say if you're actually in the parks, it's a lot harder to relax. And then on the cruise, yeah, you can definitely do as little or as much as you want. They have activities scheduled, every 15 minutes all day long. So you can go do as many activities as you want, or you can lay by the pool all day if you want to. So there's definitely, you could do both, I think. It's just a little easier to relax on the cruise and a little bit more intense for sure at Disney World in general. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like Disney cruises are a vacation and Disney World
Yes.
is more of like a trip. A
Yes.
slight difference,
Yeah.
both very enjoyable, but just different. And speaking of
Yeah.
different, I know this is a super, super hot comparison that we get all the time. So I'm so excited that we're
Yep.
doing this one.
So Royal Caribbean, obviously there's lots of different cruise lines. I picked Royal Caribbean because I think it's the most comparable to Disney as far as like for families, and having lots of activities for families. So I just did a comparison here. This is a 7-night cruise for this week in October. They're both Western Caribbean. They're both ocean view rooms. Both like one is on Disney, it's deck 2. On Royal Caribbean, it's deck 3. So I really tried to make it like as close of a comparison as possible. So as you can see, Disney, it is more expensive. It's about 70, and this was 2 adults and 2 kids. So 4 people, and Disney was about 7,300 and Royal Caribbean was about 4,900. So, I mean, yes, you can see Disney is more expensive. Now, this was also Royal Caribbean. Since this wasn't a holiday, they had kids sail free. They do that quite often, as long as you're not going like during the summer or during a holiday. So Royal Caribbean could be more expensive than this if you're trying to go like on a school break, essentially, because they don't do kids sail free during school breaks. But yeah, I mean, Disney, it's more expensive than Royal Caribbean. So I think that's just something you have to decide. I mean, that's why we're kind of doing this. Like, do you think it's worth it for all the Disney amenities versus what you would get on Royal Caribbean?
Absolutely. I know there's so many ways to mix and match, and depending on exactly what ship you're going to be sailing on,
Yeah.
the Wish is not the same price as the Magic, it's not the same price as the Wonder of the Seas. So there's probably ways to mix and match. And can you help book Royal Caribbean as well
Yeah.
as Disney?
Yep, I can do both.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I think this was the Fantasy for Disney, and it was the Wonder of the Seas on Royal Caribbean. So I thought the ships were pretty comparable also. The Wonder is one of the better Royal Caribbean ships. It has some more activities. And that's the other thing about Royal Caribbean is a lot of their ships are quite a bit older, quite a bit smaller. Some of their ships have almost, if you go on one of the older or smaller ones, have very few extra activities. So that's also something to keep in mind when you're looking at Royal Caribbean cruises.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, because I know a lot of times people think, and I was guilty of doing this myself at one point, but you think, oh, I'm just going to go on the website and I'll book it myself. But you don't necessarily know those things when you're looking at just the ship name. So that's one
Yeah,
of the big perks of working with a travel advisor, is being able to say, okay, this is what's important to me, important to my family. Is
right,
this thing that I've planned in my head going to
right.
work out for us? Because the last
Yeah,
thing you want is to spend all that money on a vacation and be disappointed.
right. And Royal Caribbean has like 25 ships, so it can be very difficult to know, um, exactly what you're getting on each ship, all that type of thing. So definitely it can be easier to work with a travel advisor in that case. So then here are a few things like people talk about Royal Caribbean nickels and dimes you. I don't necessarily wouldn't go that far, but there are things you have to pay for on Royal Caribbean that you do not have to pay for on Disney. So I have a few examples here. Royal Caribbean, the soda package, it varies based on your sailing date and all that stuff, but it's generally about $10 per person per day. So if you had 4 people and you all had that on that 7-night cruise, that'd be an extra $280 just for the soda package versus Disney where it's included. Room service is not free on Royal Caribbean. You have to pay for that. Kids Club. This is kind of another big one for some people. After 10 p.m., you do have to pay like an hourly fee for the Kids Club on Royal Caribbean. Disney is not like that. It's free all the time. And then one thing a lot of people talk about for Royal Caribbean is Coco Cay. That's their private island. They do have lots of amenities on their private island that are very similar to Disney's Castaway Cay. They have, a beautiful beach, some water slides, a splash pad, those type of things. Those are free on Coco Cay. However, they have this completely separate other park called the Thrill Water Park. This is like their bigger slides, just a ton of different amenities within that water park. And that can be anywhere from $150 to $250 per person. So it can be, if you want to, if that's important to you, if you definitely want to do that on Coco Cay, that's definitely a big item that you're going to need to budget for because, and like I said, it varies just on your sale date. But that's definitely a big budget item for Coco Cay. And then some of the activities on the larger ships, like they have like a virtual reality experience. That's an additional charge. They have on the Icon, which is their newest ship, they have like a ropes course that goes off the side of the ship out over the water. That's an additional charge. So there are some activities on the larger ship that are not included. You do have to pay for them. And then this is kind of probably is not important to a lot of people, but it is important to me. Disney has self-serve laundry. So you can go do your laundry. They have laundry rooms on the Disney cruise ships. You can go do your laundry. I pretty much always do laundry on a Disney cruise ship. Royal doesn't have that. So the last time we cruised on Royal, you have to send your laundry out and like they do it for you. So it was like a little bag like this was like $30 on Royal Caribbean to have your laundry done. So, I mean, that's just something, just another small thing to consider, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say all the little things can definitely add up. I know I don't necessarily like doing laundry, but I have family who they hate going home with dirty clothes and having that when they get home. So they always do laundry on board, and it's so nice. You know, the app will tell you on your smartwatch or on your phone exactly when the machine is done. I mean, it's so nice. And let me say, that laundry room on the Wish is just
it's so nice.
beautiful.
It's like the nicest laundry room ever. I know. I'm like, I could do laundry in here all the time if I had this, at my house or whatever. But I like doing laundry on the ships because I'm like an underpacker. I'm not an overpacker. I'm an underpacker. I like to get it like as minimal as possible. So then typically I have to like wash a load or something while we're there, but it's not a big deal.
You need to teach me your ways. I don't think I've ever underpacked for a vacation in my life. So I'm gonna need some pointers on that one after this.
So then some other Disney Cruise Line differences. Again, these are some things that are important to me as a family of 5, especially. Those staterooms are larger. So that cost comparison I did, that was for the Ocean View stateroom. Disney's is 204 square feet versus Royal Caribbean is only 172 square feet. Disney has the split bathrooms, which is super nice when you have multiple people trying to get ready at once. Disney has bunk beds. I love this about Disney. Royal Caribbean, they do have a few rooms that have bunk beds, but the majority of their rooms, the third and fourth bed for the bed for the third and fourth guest is just a pull-out couch, which is not super ideal for kids, I don't think, because I mean, if you have kids, you put them in bed together, they're going to be, you touched my leg, or you're taking my pillow, or, just stuff like it's like, just put them in separate beds, please. So I love the bunk beds on Disney. Disney has themed cruises. Royal doesn't have that. Royal doesn't even have Halloween or Christmas cruises. So they might have like a few, I think they have a few activities for Halloween, for Christmas, but nothing like what Disney does. And not to mention like the Marvel and the Pixar as well that Disney has. Royal Caribbean doesn't really have deck parties. They might have somebody out there playing music and, people dancing a little bit, but nothing like the deck parties that Disney does, like for Pirate Night, for the Halloween deck party. Disney is amazing with those. Disney is the only cruise line that has the fireworks at sea, which is pretty awesome once you see it. And then things like onboard activities, evening entertainment. I don't want to sound Disney snobby, but when we've been on 3 Royal Caribbean cruises, my kids have gotten bored, especially with the evening entertainment because it's just not the same. Like, so Disney has all of their Broadway style shows in the evening. Royal Caribbean typically has like a comedian for one evening, and one evening they might have like an ice skating show, and one evening they might have like a band or like a group of singers. Like that's what their like evening entertainment is, and it's fine. But I know like the last Royal Caribbean cruise we went on, we didn't go to anything. We didn't go to any of the evening entertainment because my kids just weren't, they just weren't interested, or it wasn't really appropriate for them. Like the comedian was not appropriate for kids. So that's definitely something to consider. The kids clubs, I mean, Disney wins hands down for the kids clubs. There's nothing like the kids clubs. Royal is fine, but they don't even really come close to what Disney offers in their kids clubs. And then just a family environment. Royal has a casino, which is fine. I like the casino, but they do allow smoking in there, and you do have to walk through there to get to certain parts of the ships. And then sometimes I will say, especially like on a shorter weekend cruise, Royal can have a little bit more of like a party atmosphere sometimes. So I just think Disney in general is a lot more family friendly for like their activities and, all that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know some people I work with, they're like, oh, I don't know if I could ever do Disney. And there's no gambling, there's no casino. But I'm like, let me tell you, there's nothing more competitive than a game of bingo on board a Disney cruise.
Yes. Yes.
People want bingo so bad. And I mean, the cast and crew is so good at just all the interactions.
And that's another great example. Like on Disney, bingo and pretty much all of it, trivia, the game shows, everything, that it's an event on Disney. The entertainment team makes it an event for sure. And on Royal, we would go to bingo and they would just be like, B11. B11. It's like there's nothing, they're not doing anything except calling the numbers. So
just not quite the same. And we do have a question about Kids Club. Is there anything like the nursery on Royal for, or anything like Disney's nursery on Royal that you have to pay for?
There is a nursery. I would say it's pretty similar in terms of what they offer, and like it's pretty much the same because on Disney you have to pay for it, and on Royal you have to pay for it. So that's pretty similar. The nursery is fairly similar, I would say. Yep.
Okay, and then we have a question about, is there free childcare for older kids? What about teenagers on Royal?
They do. I'm blanking if they have a kid. I think they do a teen club, but I'm kind of blanking on that right now. I'm pretty sure they do, but I don't think it's quite as like involved as Disney's. That's my recollection of it. But we can look that up. I can answer that later.
I was going to say, it feels like it's a lot more come and go. It's not as like structured, kind of like what you're saying with everything else here. It's more of a do your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we have another question about your capabilities as a travel advisor. Can I book the cruise or can you book the cruise and then let your customer or your guests book excursions on their own afterwards?
Yes, that's no problem. You'll have complete Disney or Royal. You have like basically complete control of your reservation. The only thing that I like have to do for you is apply payments to the reservation. But you can, once you get logged in and link your cruise to your login, you can do anything like that. Book onboard activities, book port excursions, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of a myth that floats out there that when you book with a travel agent, you can't do any of that. But I can go on my app right now and book an excursion and cancel it all at once.
Yeah.
Book Palo, cancel it. I mean, there's so much that you can do. But of course, your travel agent is there to help you as well.
Right.
of, have the conversation. Does Palo make sense for us, or should we just do rotational dining?
Right.
We can keep going. Just wanted to get to a couple of questions as they were coming in.
So here we go. This is Disney versus all-inclusive. So I picked Beaches, Turks and Caicos because I think that's kind of like more of like one of the gold standards for like a kid's family-oriented all-inclusive. So I did, again, this was for a week, those same dates, and you can see the cheapest room was $6,900. So that was pretty similar to Disney's price. Now, all inclusive, your alcohol is included. So that's a pretty big plus for a lot of people. So your food is included, obviously. The kids' clubs are included. However, I do think there's less activities overall. It's probably going to be even more of a relaxing vacation than a cruise would be, because I think it's more about, going to the pool, laying on the beach, that type of thing. And then another thing you have to consider is the flights to get there. So I looked up Turks and Caicos from Indianapolis, where I live, and for that week, it was about $600 per person. So that's almost $2,500 you have to add on to this versus, Indianapolis to Orlando is, like $100 usually. So it's definitely an increased cost to get there generally.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have only ever done one all-inclusive, but that airfare is definitely another
It can be a killer.
cost yes, and people forget about passports too. You don't necessarily need one with a Disney cruise, but I don't think there are any all-inclusives in the US.
No, there's not. Nope.
Man.
So I have this kind of like a summary, and we'll go into it a little bit more after this. But so why Disney Cruise Line? So for me, it's really three things: the service, the magic of Disney, and really, I feel like you get 2 vacations in one. So I'll kind of expand on each of those within the next slides. So the service. So Disney is amazing. I think anybody that's been on a Disney cruise, of course, there's, stories here and there of people that didn't have the best service, but in general, 99% of the time, their service is just amazing. You're going to board the ship. They're going to announce your family. There's crew members there clapping for you. There's typically characters up in the balconies waving to you as you come on the ship. I mean, it's just an incredible feeling. Just getting on the ship is amazing. Your servers rotate restaurants with you. They get to know you. They do magic tricks for your kids at dinner. They help cut your kids' food so parents can actually eat instead of trying to cut their kids' food. They remember your drink orders. They remember your allergies and what type of things you can and cannot have. The servers are just amazing. The room attendants, they typically know your name. They make you little towel animals there every night in your room. And then, every cast member, they see your daughter walking down the hallway, they're going to say, "Hello, princess, how are you today?" That doesn't happen on another cruise ship or at an all-inclusive. I think pretty much every cast member I've come across, they seem genuinely happy to be there. They're always in a good mood. Honestly, I don't think I've ever had bad service on a Disney cruise ship. Like, it's just amazing. The cleanliness and upkeep of the ship, Disney is the best at. Their ships look amazing. Even the oldest ship, the Magic, still looks amazing. And I really think the biggest thing about Disney is like they treat everyone like a VIP. That's what I feel like. So that's kind of the service aspect of it. Why I think cruise lines are better.
Yeah, I was going to say that it always amazes me. I've only ever sailed with Disney, so I expect, Disney level service.
Right.
And it always amazes me when people come on Disney from other cruise lines, and the first thing they say is, "I couldn't believe how clean the ship is."
Yeah.
And, it's like they constantly have people cleaning every touchable surface. I mean, it is amazing. And you're right. The crew is just top notch, the best.
So then we're talking about the magic of Disney. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. It's Disney. If you love Disney, you're going to love a Disney cruise line. If you don't care about Disney, then I can understand why you might choose something different. But for me, and like for a lot of people, we just love Disney. So the character interactions, I mean, where else are you going to go to the kids club and Rapunzel is going to come in and read your kids a story? Or the kids are going to go to the kids club and Mickey and Minnie come in and do a dance party with the kids. Like, it just doesn't happen anywhere else. And then you have the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. Your daughter or son can do prince or princess packages. Your themed cruises, which we talked about before, the fireworks, the deck parties, the bingo dance parties, like we were talking about. They just make everything over the top, amazing, and it's magical. I mean, it honestly is. Like, I feel like when you're on the cruise ship, it's like you're in a different world. And they really, I mean, that's what Walt wanted when he created Disney World. He wanted you to feel like you were somewhere else. And that's really how it is when you're on the cruise ship. So,
yes, and I was going to say those first steps back to reality, it always hits me when I'm back at MCO and my stomach grumbles for the first time. And I'm like, what is this feeling? I haven't felt this in 7 days.
I have to go make my own food and make my own bed. Like, it's terrible. Yeah.
It is. And we do have the question, would you still go on a Disney cruise if you're not into the Disney characters?
I mean, I would, just because, again, I think their service, even people that aren't into Disney will tell you that the service of the cast members on the cruise ship is amazing. So if you're looking for that top level service, and really to feel like a VIP, I would. I think Royal is fine if you're comparing cruise lines. I just don't get that feeling of like, it's like, okay, I'm on a cruise. That's great. But it's not like what Disney cruise feels like. So.
Yes. They make you feel so special.
And then the last thing I have here, 2 vacations in one. So if you want to visit Alaska, Europe, the Mediterranean, Australia, the Caribbean, or the Bahamas, you can do that and also do a Disney cruise at the same time. You can unpack once and travel the world. So that's why I think cruises are so amazing, because, I can go unpack all of our clothes and we can visit, especially like on a European cruise, you might be visiting 5 or 6 different ports, across 5 or 6 different countries. So you're getting that Disney cruise, but you're also getting that European vacation at the same time. So it's amazing in that regard as well. Or like, if you like Alaska, if you like nature, you can go have that portion of it, but then you get back on the ship and you also get the Disney portion of it. So I really love it for those reasons too.
That's a great way to look at it. And I know that if people want to spend more time somewhere, you could always add on like an Adventures by Disney experience, but you've done the hard work of getting all the way to Europe or Alaska or wherever it is.
Right.
That's awesome. And gosh, I can't get over it. The characters' outfits in Alaska are just so gosh darn cute.
I know.
And we have the question here of, is concierge worth it? Is it a good value on a Disney cruise? So how would you kind of talk through that with your clients?
I think, again, it depends on how catered to you want to feel. If it's in your budget is a big one. For me personally, probably not. But I know a lot of people absolutely love it. Like, you do get kind of like early access to a lot of things, like the cabanas on Castaway Cay. You get to book your port excursions first, your onboard activities first. So if those things are all super important to you, or you have really specific things that you want to do that you can't miss, then I could definitely say I would. You also do get some alcohol included, like they have like a cocktail hour every evening in the Concierge Lounge. So that's a nice part of it. So again, it's just going to vary, I think, depending on who you are and what you like to do. But for some people, for sure, yeah, some people love it. So
I was going to say, I feel like it depends so much on the individual person and your family and who you're traveling with. So I would say reach out to Megan, get some time scheduled to talk through what's important to you and your family, because I'm kind of in the same, no pun intended, boat there of, concierge might not be worth it for me, but I know you have so many guests and families that you work with that love concierge, and that's all they want to sail. So you can kind of help talk through some of those pros and cons. And we also have the question, is the photo package worth it?
Yeah, I think so. I actually hadn't done the photo package, I don't think, ever until our last cruise. And so we did it, and we got a lot of awesome pictures. So we did a Marvel Day at Sea. So that was part of it, because we had a lot of character meet and greets that you wouldn't normally have on a regular cruise. But I think the part of this kind of sounds weird, but the lighting can be kind of weird on the cruise ship sometimes when you're just taking pictures with your cell phones. So to have that professional camera taking the pictures of you, it can make a big difference in the quality of your pictures. That's what I noticed. Is a lot of them are just lit better. They just look a lot nicer than just what I can, snap on my cell phone. So I do think the photography package is worth it.
I totally agree with you. That picture quality, people think, I have the newest iPhone, it's going to be great, and they'll still be nice pictures, but when you compare side by side to the professional
Right.
Disney photos, I mean, it is night and day quality wise. Oh my gosh. And
Yes.
I think we have, great segue to finish this out,
Of
because I
course.
know we're getting
Yeah.
more questions about like how many people fit in a
Yeah,
suite. But I feel like, Susie, that's a great question. Reach out to Megan. I'll put the link in the comments to her page again on the DCL community site. That's a good question to talk through, because there's a lot of different configurations depending on how many people you're sailing with. And she can get you updated information on that. But I guess go ahead and kind of wrap us up here.
Well, so I did want to, that's actually I wanted to kind of go back to that.
Oh yeah.
I forgot to mention this for Royal Caribbean. So like I said, we're a family of 5. I have 3 kids. Disney makes it so easy to book your room for a family of 5. They have the rooms right online. They have tons of them available. Royal Caribbean is not like that for a family of 5. Some ships, they call them spacious ocean view rooms, but not all the ships have them. So like, especially the newer ships. So if I want to go on a Royal Caribbean, a newer ship, I either have to book like a balcony room or a suite, which is much more expensive, or 2 rooms, which is also much more expensive. So, I mean, this is kind of like a very specific situation, but for families of 5, it is much, much easier to book on Disney. And you actually can't even, on Royal Caribbean's website, you cannot even physically book it or look at it for a family of 5. You have to call in. Even as a travel agent, I have to call in and talk to them to get a room booked for a family of 5. So Disney is much easier in that regard for families of 5. But anyway, back to wrapping it up. As travel agents,
I actually, so question for you on that one. Is that something that you can help coordinate? Like if I maybe want to sail with grandma and, trying to find like connecting staterooms, or maybe it's an inside room across the hall. Is that something that you can help coordinate so that we can all still eat dinner together? We can do our excursions together?
For sure. So I have lots of clients like this. I think actually, honestly, I have almost as many like multi-room clients as I do just single clients. But yeah, we can get connecting staterooms or rooms across the hall. And then once you're booked, you link your reservations, and that ensures that you eat dinner together and that you can book all your port excursions together. So yes, for sure, travel agents can help you with that. And we do it all the time. So we're super used to it. It's no problem at all.
Love that. I was going to say the experience of not having to figure it out and call Disney to have to figure it out and not hear that hold music for hours is so, so, so worth it, especially when you're not paying anything extra.
Yeah. So that's kind of my wrap up slide here is use a travel agent to help you. That's what we're here for. Most of us have cruised so many times. We know the ships like the back of our hand, and we're here to help you walk through all those options and make the best decision for your family, whether that's Disney Cruise Line, whether that's Royal Caribbean, whether that's an all-inclusive, or if it's Walt Disney World. I'm able to help with any of them, and I'm happy to help with any of them. I personally love Disney Cruise Line. If I could take one vacation for the rest of my life, it would be a Disney cruise. But I can certainly understand why it's not a one-size-fit-all for every family. So that's our job, and we're happy to help with that.
I was going to say, I feel like that's one of the biggest perks of working with a travel agent. Yes, your planning services are totally free for anybody who wants to, work to plan an all-inclusive or a Disney cruise, Royal cruise, but having somebody just to talk it through with, because you can get into this like analysis paralysis with 85 tabs open, trying to figure out exactly what's going to be best for your family. So just saying like, where I can call Megan and say, my family really likes Marvel. We have this many days of PTO off for kids' breaks, and this is my budget. What can we do? And she can put all the puzzle pieces together in the background so that I'm not having to worry about that on top of everything I have going on, right? Like this.
Yeah.
This is what she does. It's her bread and butter.
Little things like I said, like a family of 5, you may not know that before you start to look at cruises, that it's much easier to book on a Disney than it is Royal Caribbean. But I do know that. Or like, you may say, I want to do a 7-night in such and such place, but Disney may not offer that. Disney has less ships, so their itineraries are a little bit more limited. So you may want to look at Royal because of that type of thing. So just little things like that, we can really provide a lot of insight as to what can be best for your family.
Oh, there's so many moving pieces. And I was going to say, George, reach out to me, send me a message, and I'll get you connected with Megan after this event. And that is a link to her page on the DCL community site as well. For anybody else who is ready to plan your vacations, there's still so many options available for this summer, including some guarantee rates that I saw, which is super fun, including some on the Wish, which just blows my mind because I feel like we haven't seen those.
I know.
But if you guys have any questions, please reach out to Megan. She is here to help you. And again, her planning services are totally free. So let her be that resource in planning that perfect vacation for your family. Megan, thank you so much for your time. And we will see all y'all on board real soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.